Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Mark Meadows' latest unsuccessful attempt to get out from under state charges, these in Arizona, where he's been charged along with a number of state actors and Trump types for the criminal scheme to replace the true electors and the true elector certificates with phony ones of attesting that Trump had won when he had not. You know that kind of scheme by now, and the different states are bringing it home. Meadows, a very interesting figure here. For starters, he is probably the most knowledgeable of anyone, period, about Trump's criminal activities leading up to January 6th, when on January 6th, he fielded call after call from members of Congress. Some of them panicky, get him to stand down. And, he says, I can't do it. He's really privy to all kinds of Trump statements, conduct, schemes, really, and the like. Georgia would be another example. Now, he's been well represented, for starters, and pretty fortunate. The one place where he was really looking at the most liability was in Georgia, and that case is sort of in the mothballs now. He's had some trouble in Washington, but he was able to partially cooperate and partially testify to the grand jury. And it looks like he's sort of, been skating out of trouble, or to mix metaphors, running through the raindrops. He has had the best counsel out there, and he's somebody who, next only to Trump, has really high exposure. All right, but he's tried the same thing and he's lost in a way that is significant for the substance of the charges. So he goes in Arizona again and tries to remove the case to federal court, probably preparatory to a motion saying, hey, I'm a federal official acting in my federal capacity, and therefore you can't bring a criminal charge against me anyway. And the federal court, what happened? You move to remove, you automatically get a hearing in federal court. He got one. And the judge there, Judge Tucci, said, no, you don't have. First of all, he didn't even do it by when he was supposed to. So he's got one problem, not making the deadline. And that I think will stand up on its own. But more than that we've seen him try this gambit on several occasions, basically saying, and we saw him testify even in the Georgia case, saying, hey, I'm the chief of staff, so I'm on duty 24/7, and I always have to be there to sort of brief the president. And even if the president is doing funky things, my job is to just be there. And basically saying, he was doing his official duties even when doing what seems to be part and parcel of the criminal conspiracy to have the certificates replaced. And basically, in a very sort of definitive and clear-eyed way, here's what the judge wrote is, well, it might be that he's responsible for acting as the president's gatekeeper, but that doesn't mean that everything he does and the charged conduct is part of his official authority. And what the court went on to say is basically he's trying to rewrite the indictment, and that's just what he has tried to do. He's tried to take these charges and reconfigure them in very general terms as saying, well, I'm being charged with talking with state officials, or I'm being charged with, keeping the president in the loop. But that's what chiefs of staff do. But as the court wrote, contrary to Mr. Meadows' assertions, the state has not indicted him for merely facilitating communication to and from the president or for staying abreast of campaign goings-on. Instead, it's indicted him for orchestrating and participating in an illegal electioneering scheme. And A, that's a crime, and B, Doing that is not when you're doing something like that, you are not engaged in your official duties as chief of staff, however broad those can be. So you don't get to remove your case in federal court, and you don't get to offer a kind of further argument that you shouldn't be charged in the first place. So he loses again on removal, and this has been the basic pattern with Meadows. He's done pretty well going up to the line, but really his ultimate strategy is to somehow skate clean by saying, that's a chief of staff has broad responsibilities. And this is the maybe third court that's seen it and rejected and said the allegations here are not in the generalized kind of loose way that Meadows puts them of just facilitating communication. It's rather doing illegal scheming to try to substitute the false electors who say, oh, Trump won, for the true ones. And that's just a crime down the middle. Back to state court for you, Mark Meadows, to face the music. And that's where he goes. He, at one point, this will be the sort of stand he makes, trying to say to a jury or a state court, I'm just a chief of staffy guy, maybe even tried to leverage the immunity opinion from the Supreme Court. And that's so far been a bridge too far. And if he loses that, in Arizona, in Georgia, we're talking about a substantial sentence in state court. And that's quite a lot of leverage. And just want to end where I started. This is a guy who really knows letter and verse about what Donald Trump was doing. So if he's now guilty or looking at a serious sentence, the one thing he can trade to try to get some leverage and easier treatment would be information on Donald Trump. That would be sort of years down the line. It depends what happens to Trump and the like, but danger to Meadows equals danger to Trump at some point. That is, unless Trump makes everything go away in the wake of a return to the White House. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.